Hello, Western Civ 105. Welcome to week 4. By the way, do you notice that we are almost done with this class? That's how fast we're moving. So I really want to encourage all of you to just, for those of you who have been keeping up, to really congratulate yourself, pat yourselves on the back, and really just give yourself credit for doing a tremendous amount of work. For those of you who are having a hard time keeping up, don't be so hard on yourself. It truly is a difficult thing to keep up a summer course. It's difficult for those of us who teach them, and it's difficult for those of you who take them. And I, in the past, of course, I was a student to become a professor, and I did take summer courses. And some I was successful with, and others I dropped. Now, for those of you who are struggling, and are, some of you have tried to reach out to me, and we just haven't been able to get contact and make things happen. Look, I'm working again for the next 4 days, 8-hour days. And so it becomes difficult. I mean, I want you to reach out to me in these next 4 days, but I am on limited time. I will be freed up Saturday, and I'll be working less next week. I'll be more available to talk. I'll be more focusing on the online classes, but we are also getting to the end of things. So let's just keep that in mind. When it comes to the papers, even though we're this late in the game, I'm still having folks not do works cited and not put dates for time periods that are covered. And I think for some of you, when you saw my example on the works cited, you're thinking that the works cited should only be after a direct quote, which I saw my example, and I think that maybe I understand that I just, for some reason, when I use the example, that was the only ones that were there. I falsely assumed that all of you would understand that anytime you paraphrase a paragraph and get content of what you're writing, even if it's not a direct quote, after that is where you need the works cited. That is bread and butter understanding of works cited in history papers. So please figure that out and make sure that that's happening. I realize, though, that for some of you who are not writing history papers all the time, that's a little bit difficult. And then I understand you're also saying, well, do I have to put the works cited at the end of every sentence? No, remember, it's basically, rather, if it's a direct quote, yes, obvious. But if you're writing something, and let's say that you're fusing video 1 and referring to the video, the works cited should be in a way that basically you would have the understanding the information is coming from those two things, and you should know that right after what you wrote. Please feel free to contact me. I know in the past I would always recommend folks to go to the Writing Center, but now since COVID, I don't even know how that helpful that is or not, or is there even someone available to help you out. I hope you're seeing I'm not grading so hard on the content, but that part's important. It's important for a lot of reasons that I don't want to have to re-explain and spend time on in this. There's just some basic things in papers that are going to always be important in college. And there's going to be different ways in which you can do them. I always want to clarify that too, okay? So when it comes to works cited, as I was mentioning in my first videos, Chicago style is what would normally be used for a history paper at a bigger university, and I'm not requiring that right now. So just keep that in mind. Okay, look, we also, you all just had an exam. You wrote a long paper, then you wrote this paper on all these isms. And you still may find yourself, especially since you were cramming, having a hard time understanding where all these isms really were and are. That's okay. How I see these survey courses is basically you're being exposed for the first time to all these terms in a little bit more detailed way. And over time, if you take interest in these subjects, you'll get more out of them. we, and essentially, I just want to actually, just as a last minute thought on that, say that fascism, which I didn't cover yet at the time in those definitions because we didn't get to it yet, fascism is really going to emerge out of romantic nationalism and not socialism. That's the myth. It's the kind of distortion that comes out in American political discourse. And the reason for that is the confusion is that the Nazis called themselves National Socialists. Long story short, and you'll hear me probably explain this again later, the socialist part was a PR stunt, essentially, because socialism was popular at the time. The Nazis were hardcore nationalists, and if you look at the fact they're into Wagner and conjuring up like runes and old Aryan symbols from the East and the West, the swastika, and the idea of the folkish culture of the people, this is all romantic nationalism. And then the hating of minorities that are basically parasites on the body politic of the Germans. Again, that was coming, the racism and nationalism, that was the ultimate thing coming out of fascism. And in fascism, in a lot of ways, comes out of that romantic nationalism. And this is the other side that people don't realize. Romanticism, as I find, I'm so enthralled and enamored with many writers and poets and artists from the Romantic period. But believe it or not, far-right nationalism, things that you see with Mussolini and Hitler, are really also very much coming out of the Romantic tradition. And when they combine that into the nationalist tradition, because it was a way of romanticizing the past, art, literature, everything, and it really created a lot of inspiration for people to feel good about being a part of this thing, this, a big collectivist project. So yes, it's collectivist, but it's not socialist. Okay. If you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me or go over it. I'm just going to leave that at like this for now. We are going over a lot of interesting topics. I would like to be able to answer anything if some questions come up or you feel that I said something that you feel was incorrect, because I am dealing with topics that a lot of people are very politicized topics, and I'm more than happy to do that. So I hope you guys are all having a great week. Hang in there, and we'll be in touch.